United States recently lifted some sanctions on Iran after the Middle East country agreed to dismantle nuclear operations. This has left the global economy wondering what the new trade relations would be like between the two countries with hostile tensions. Well, let's move back home now. South Africa has good relations with Iran in many business sectors. To speak to us more about the new development and what it actually means for South Africa is Rasethaba, who is the chairperson of the Iran-SA Joint Business Council. Selo, good to see you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much.
Briefly explain to us the kind of business relations that South Africa and Iran have.
South Africa and Iran, prior to 2012, when oil sanctions were imposed, we used to do about 3.5 billion, about 45 billion oil imports from Iran. And there was a lot of business between the two countries. But after the UN sanctions and the what we call unilateral sanctions by the United States and the European Union, then that business went down. But the doing away of these sanctions is an immense opportunity for South African business if we take advantage of those.
Let's look at some figures. Sanctions resulted in a big drop in trade with South African exports to Iran from 1.5 billion rand in 2007 to 250 million last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, and Iran before sanctions was South Africa's biggest oil supplier. So in a way, this is good news for South Africa.
This is good news for South Africa only if South African business take advantage of this. We were the ones, from a government point of view, that we were behind Iran when they were being lambasted with these sanctions. Our government spent a lot of taxpayers' money trying to defend Iran in fora like the non-aligned movement, BRICS, etc., condemning these sanctions. But now it's for us as business to take advantage of this and go into Iran, particularly in infrastructure, hotels, aerospace. Just to give you an example, Iran is going to build about 125 new 5-star hotels.
Yeah.
They are acquiring 112 aircrafts. This week, there's an aircraft show. Airbus, Boeing is there in Tehran. But our South African business from the Denel complex, who deal with aerospace, we are not there. But we were there when things were tough for Iran. And all we are saying is that the South African business must use the Black Business Council and the Iran-South Africa Joint Business Council to go to take advantage of these opportunities so that we are not laggards here. Otherwise, all other countries are going to take advantage of this.
Take advantage of the situation they find themselves in. Well, that's exactly what you were saying. I mean, is at this point in time where we see world leaders gathering, the World Economic Forum, the economies of the world are not doing good. There are some that are doing well. And we need to look for opportunities in those places. And obviously, as you're saying, Iran is one of those places.
Yes, Iran is one of those places. This is where business can come in to say that instead of saying, what is the South African government doing for us, to say, what is it that we can do for our people? Come and open those manufacturing entities so that we are able to export the industrial goods to Iran, the agricultural goods, so that our, for example, building industry that is not doing well. This is an opportunity for us to take them to Iran to participate in the building and infrastructure developments in Iran.
You've spoken a little bit about the kind of things we can export. So you talk agriculture, you're talking in the building industry, hospitality,
hotels.
Hotels. Are these the kind of things, I mean, in the aerospace industry, is this where South Africa can predominantly move into Iran, or are there other industries as well?
They've got an aging, because of sanction, infrastructure. Half of the buildings were not finished. There was no painting. That is why there are challenges. Obviously, business, before they can go in, they must take advice from organizations such as ours to ensure that they don't do wrong things or they don't lose money without taking advice. But there are opportunities in agriculture, hospitality, infrastructure, industrial, all these companies whose manufacturing capacity has gone down. With the lowering of the rent, this is an opportunity for us to export at a cheaper price than for people to import into South Africa.
Indeed, and that's something we need to take advantage, because we can't take advantage of it in other ways. We've also got trade agreements in the fishing sectors with them, I believe.
Yes. In the past 6 months, we have had Deputy President Ramaphosa going. Most of the ministers, energy, agriculture, water affairs, have been to Iran. I understand one of the companies in Iran now is involved in the desalination of water in northern KwaZulu-Natal. At the same time that they desalinate salt water into fresh water, they are also going to produce electricity. Suddenly a small village is going to have electricity from that project. So all we are saying is that, and my message today is that for South African business, please don't wait, because European and US companies that used to shun Iran are going there big time. So Iran is a big deal in town today.
Yeah. All right. Anything that stands out? You spoke about the Deputy President's visit to Iran recently. Anything that stands out from his visit and the relations between the two countries, and any trade deals that were signed that really caught your attention?
One of the things that caught my attention was a visit with the Deputy President. Unfortunately, other business people could not go on that visit, to visit a factory in Iran called Mapna. In that Mapna group, it's a business similar to Siemens. They produce power stations. During the time that they were under sanctions, they built more than 10 power stations. They managed to make sure that there's no load shedding in Iran, despite the sanctions, and they developed technology. And one other thing is that Iran has done very well in education, particularly scientists. That one company has got more than 50 PhDs.
Wow.
Just working there, engineers. And those are the things that we have signed as South Africa to make sure that we take advantage of those.
Fantastic. Just finally, before we wrap the interview, there's also a little bit of an issue when it comes to MTN in Iran and the bribery saga that happened there. Any updates, anything that we can report back?
My understanding is that the bribery saga is behind MTN. The US authorities and the people who are taking MTN to court, it's all behind them. But this is good for South Africa. MTN for now is the only, if you don't have an MTN card, you can't roam in Iran. But I think they've got an opportunity now to take the money that was locked in Iran to bring it back to South Africa, and I'm sure it will do well for our balance of trade between us and Iran. But this is a very good opportunity, not only for MTN as a company, but for all those people who supply MTN in South Africa and the rest of the continent. Now they have an opportunity to go into MTN as information technology companies, security, all the companies from your small black companies who are in the procurement system of MTN now have an opportunity, if MTN allows it, to go into Iran. It is only positive rather than negative. Oh, and I think it's the whole thing about bribery, etc. It's history, unless there's something I don't know about.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us here on the program. Rasethaba, he is the chairperson for the Iran-SA Joint Business Council, talking to us about business opportunities available in Iran, a growing country, and business is open for South African companies. Just in terms of what's happening with MTN, quite interesting. I was just seeing a story coming out saying that MTN is set for 15.9 billion rand profit in Nigeria. But if you want to have a look at that, that profit is just a quarter of that pending fine in Nigeria that they are still owing. So that should be an interesting one as well to watch for them.